Hello there and welcome back to Four Times in a Podcast. You join us on Friday the 21st of November. It's just at 8 p.m. at night and it was the day of the Celtic AGM, or the AGM that never really got going, so quite a lot to discuss. I know we've not been on since the international break and we did promise to, but to be completely honest with you, Celtic have been pissing us off in a number of ways, and it's led to a mix of scheduling issues and us just being pretty fucked off with how things are going at Celtic and now we've not been back. But we're back tonight. I know it's a day until Celtic return, but I think we'll be speaking a lot about off the field rather than previewing that St Mirren game tomorrow. It's myself, Darren, and I'm here with Tony, Andy and Danny. Tony, I'll come to you. It was a highly anticipated AGM and it probably did live up to expectations in terms of being very newsworthy, and there's been 3 statements released since the AGM. I was there, a friend of the show gave us a proxy and I was able to attend. It was quite the atmosphere being there, but I'm sure everybody's read about it and seen videos. As I say, an AGM that really wasn't. They kicked off at 10:30 with Peter Lawwell and the rest of the board being booed into the room and red cards shown to them with chance to sack the board and out. After about 5 minutes, they went to play videos, pre-recorded videos that were easily accessible elsewhere that anybody could have watched at any time. A member of the collective approached the board to ask that this be passed so that there was more time to focus on issues that could only be discussed in the room, and it would give more people chances to ask questions of this board that a lot of people want to. This led to the initial meeting being adjourned for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes they returned. Peter Lawwell warned that he would close the meeting if rowdy behaviour, or whatever he called it, continued. They played their video. Group of the collective walked out to show their sort of feelings towards the video. They did return once the video was done, but after a highly inflammatory statement from minority but dominant shareholder Dermot Desmond's son Ross, this led to the whole thing being called off after a lot of discontent in the crowd regarding the sort of inflammatory remarks that were made by Ross Desmond on behalf of himself and his father. So Tony, you were sort of watching along live with updates on Twitter and updates in the group chat. What was your sort of thoughts on it? And when you actually seen the video of how the shareholders were being spoken to, what was your reaction to it?
Thought it was perfectly justified. Thought it was a great statement. No, I'm glad we didn't do this like kind of live as it was happening. Obviously, the last time a Desmond released a statement, I read it live and I ended up on another YouTube video with somebody doing a count of how many times I called Dermot Desmond a cunt. So I'm a lot more calm at this moment in time. But fuck me, we are governed by a shower of cunts. Dermot Desmond is a cunt. His son's a bigger cunt, which I didn't think was possible. Lawwell reminded us all he's a cunt. Michael Nicholson's just a bitch for them, let's be honest. He's in the Rang movie, that guy. I've said that a million times. He's a CEO, doesn't he speak, which is incredible. The guy Chris Mackay, he needs a good sleep. He looks terrible anytime I see him. Just incredible stuff, really. I mean, I've loved not having Celtic in my life the last couple of weeks. It's been brilliant. I must admit, genuinely, really enjoyed it. That's why we've not recorded. None of us can be asked talking about Celtic. There's nothing good about Celtic. There's nothing about Celtic at the moment I like. I despise the people that run us. I think the squad's very poor. I think a lot of our fans are cunts. The celebration of your fellow fan being banned when it came to the GB. But we're going to do an episode kind of talking about that and the kind of incident there, and then fans getting their doors booted down and other fans being happy about that. And I'm going, fuck, that's surely not the Celtic I grew up kind of supporting. I didn't think that's what Celtic was. We're kind of openly cheering for our fellow fan, the fans that follow this club up and down the country, who pile in tens of thousands to follow them abroad, who bring the colour and the noise and the displays and charitable work. I didn't think we were a support that celebrate them getting banned and celebrate them getting their doors booted in. And I know a lot of fans, and this is probably a learning point for me, there's so many fans that just can't stand the Green Brigade. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but you would have known that was going to happen. I'll circle back round. And I think that the club are at full scale trying to demonise the Green Brigade further now, and people going, oh, do you condone this, do you condone that? I fully 100% support the Green Brigade. That's my stance, right? And I'm not changing on it because I don't want to. Now, that probably sounds quite illogical and people will probably not be happy with it. I seen Hamish for Celtic AM kind of done a video sticking up for them a bit and people went bananas, which I found was weird. But I don't really care what people say about this, to be honest. That's my stance. For me, for the fans to be turning in the guys who pile the money in, but sticking up for people like Ross Desmond, who aren't Celtic fans. Let's not pretend here. Guys like Peter Lawwell, who are only anywhere near Celtic because they've paid millions to be there. Guys like Nicholson as well. You to see this kind of insult, or they hurt as much as everybody else. No, they don't. They live in mansions. They're making millions of pounds. They don't give a flying fuck. They're saddened that they're under scrutiny. They can't take it. Their egos have been damaged and their shitty processes have been questioned. Don't think that they, after we lose, they go, oh, it's terrible. I'm not going to be able to kind of get into my work and take a slagging, or I can't be arsed with this or that, or I'm really upset. They don't give a fuck. If you're listening to that, you're a fucking muppet. But just to get back to the Green Brigade, this kind of celebration of their ban, it seems to be the same people who were so up in arms about fans not going in for the first 12 minutes or silent protests. These people who, we need to support the team, we need the noise, but now it's a Green Brigade been banned, they're celebrating it. That's what I mean when I say I think a lot of our fans are cunts, and I stand by that because I've argued with a lot of them. And some of the takes, this is my favourite one. The Green Brigade sometimes get us fines in Europe and they cost us money, but they support a board that's failed to qualify for the Champions League 7 times out of 9 or whatever it is when it comes to the qualifiers. So what's that? Let's say 20 million that costs you. That's me being generous. Times 7, 140 million. But we're annoyed at the guys who they might let off a flare, or they might put a kind of political display in support of Palestine or whatever it may be. They're the enemies. I think a lot of people forgot what Celtic is. I have to actually shout out friend of the pod, MB, and he says, I think we probably have now. There's a lot of guys maybe in their 40s, 50s and 60s who in the 90s would have been fucking right up for the fight, but now they've made a few quid, they've settled down, they go, fuck it, well, I just want to go to Celtic Park and I don't want any protests, I don't like this, I don't want politics any day with Celtic, but that's just not what Celtic is. Like, whether people want to argue whether it should be going forward or not, it's just, that's not the club's DNA. We've never been that. I mean, for Ross Desmond to criticise people for being anti-establishment, Celtic is by nature an anti-establishment club. They've always been that. That shows you how little he knows about Celtic or cares. And then it's the other thing, like these bring a great shame on the worldwide name of Celtic. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't think people care about the Green Brigade banners or the actions of the Green Brigade. Like, let's be honest, most of England hate us. Most of Europe don't give a shit about us. And fans across the world don't care. Like, we're no this worldwide institution with people going, oh, this is a magical club. But this fan group let off flares, so I totally changed my opinion on it. Like, it's fucking absolute nonsense. There is things that have happened at Celtic that are absolute stain in the club, and we've been made to pay for that financially recently. That's a proper stain in the club. That's a proper embarrassment for me. That's very hurtful for me, but fans don't talk about that. They just want to pan the Green Brigade because they get us a couple of fines. So for me, I think it's nonsensical. In terms of the AGM today, I think Lawwell came out to bait the fans. And I kind of hum and haw with Lawwell. Is he really involved? Is he not? He just came out and went, right, fuck it. He's maybe not going to be about the club for that much longer. So I'm just going to have a go. Some of his comments just kind of baiting the fans, telling people to behave. I mean, I thought Jeanette Findlay was going to get detention off him. It was like listening to somebody talking to you at school. So while Ross Desmond, this billionaire's son, rants and raves and trashes the Celtic support, Peter Lawwell doesn't interrupt him and say, Ross, maybe we should talk about the AGM and talk about the challenges and let's try and mend this kind of major disruption. He says, no, wait, Ross, just wait a minute, to scold the fans that you're abusing. Like, it was very Trumpian for me. It was like watching a Donald Trump press conference. It was fucking totally and utterly mental stuff. And then, like, telling fans to behave and then having a go at the people and saying, oh, these are the fans, or I'm kind of verbatim here, they don't usually attend the AGM. A bit like Dermot Desmond, who can't be fucked attend the AGM. Like, it's almost as if the jokes are right in themselves. They can't see the irony in their stupid fucking comments. I think what Jeanette done at the start, she obviously wanted to skip videos, and I would have been the same. Who wants to listen to them bullshit in a video about how great they are and, oh, we've built this thing at Barrowfield while we're in such a mess? Like, people want to hold them to account, people want to ask them questions, so I can see why she would want to move that along. And I think she actually gave an interview, I think it was to the Scotsman, where she explained that was within her right to motion for that to happen, to pass that section. And Lawwell just went, all right, I'm suspending the full thing, and they all left for half an hour. Then they played their stupid video, people walked walked out and come back in. And then I think they allowed Ross Desmond to read his ridiculous statement. And as opposed to him going, I know everybody's annoyed or saying the really difficult words that this board just won't do, can't do. We're sorry, we've fucked up a lot of things, or obviously they could be more diplomatic. But see, to be fair, I think they're about as diplomatic as me. I think they hate us as much as we hate them, and that's good. That is because in the lead up to this kind of week, I was kind of getting really flat about Celtic, and I was kind of thinking, fuck, I could see myself chucking it entirely, like just totally. I will give up the season ticket. I've decided that because Desmond and his stupid boy will still be there, and I can't give them any money. Me and my dad decided that, but I was kind of wondering, do you still do the podcast? Do you still talk about this? Because I'm going, what is it I'm fighting for? I'm fighting to try and help a club that I think is ran by cunts and has a lot of cunts supporting it. And I'm going, what's the point? But then the kind of fire gets lit when Ross Desmond just goes and fucking shaking like a leaf while he fucking reads this stupid statement out. He's talking about incidents against Falkirk and fans and being anti-establishment. And I'm going, what the flying fuck are you doing? Where is the kind of common sense to go, look, we've got a lot of shareholders upset today. Let's go in, let's push for unity. We've got Martin O'Neill with us. We can maybe lean on him for a bit of unity and we can maybe try and have conversations. No, I'm going to go and defend my dad. Because my dad's bigger than Celtic. But when Dermot Desmond says there's no man bigger than Celtic, he is, in his head, and in his son's head, obviously. He wanted to, that was the main thing about the AGM. Before anything happens, I need to read this statement defending my dad. That's it. You saying bad things about my daddy, and I'm not putting up with it. Sit, behave yourselves to read this so I can defend my daddy. It was fucking mental. And I'm glad somebody recorded it, because if somebody had told me that afterwards, I'd say, you're the type to get a rise out of me. And it was just insane. And then Lawwell kind of just scolding people and asking for respect while this guy trashes the Green Brigade. So it's kind of, whose side are you on? You're on Ross and his billionaire dad's side, these people who have seen us become a European embarrassment, and he tried to defend the European record. Now, there's a good example in Glasgow of another club who since 2003 have reached a European final. They then went bust, and in 2016 were in the championship of the Scottish League, the league below the main league. They then come back through that and go to another European Cup, a Europa League final in 2022. But we can't do anything. But see if that's the idea, that we just can't do it in Europe. Lower the season ticket prices. See if you make the season ticket prices £300 a year and go, look, we're a bag of shite, we're useless, we're never going to do it in Europe, but we're reducing all the ticket prices because we don't know what we're doing, we think we can compete domestically, but Europe's a write-off. Then fine, then you can accept that and you go, right, okay, but you're putting the prices up every year but telling us that we can't get any better. It's just incredible. What I find even more incredible is that people come out and go, aye, that's my guys there. Peter Lawwell scolding fans and baiting them, Ross Desmond shaking while he's reading some inflammatory statement, having a go at the fans, Michael Nicholson. I don't know if that guy's got a fucking tongue, to be totally honest with you. I mean, a CEO, well, the whole thing's falling around. You want a CEO to take command and go, look, Peter, let me speak here. I'm wanting to fucking bring a bit of unity here and lead this club. Like, absolutely fucking useless, like totally useless. And then you've got to love the audience. They're all Celtic, man. Look, like guys on the board, they all support Celtic. I don't care who they support. They're shite at their jobs and the club's a mess. It's irrelevant. Oh, they love the club as much as anybody in here. I mean, you're talking to people in there who go every game home and away, and you're telling them that people like Michael Nicholson and Chris Mackay, who are getting paid obscene amount of money to be there, that they're in the even keel. It's insulting. It's an insult to the intelligence of Celtic fans, and some Celtic fans want to lap it up for whatever reason. I don't fucking know, but I think it was manufactured. I don't think they wanted it to get to a Q&A, because they could easily have been asked questions like, right, well, your dad says that Rodgers was causing havoc. Why have you not got a manager in place? Your dad says Rodgers was causing havoc, but at the meeting with the Celtic Fans Collective, the board says that wasn't the case, so why he's lying? Like, those kind of questions, they would have shit themselves, they wouldn't have been able to answer. So I think during that half an hour, they probably says, look, Ross, you just read a statement, fucking trash the fans, they're going to take the bait. As you would, I mean, imagine something like Ross Desmond calling you a bully when his dad went on the Celtic website and released a statement absolutely battering one of the most successful managers in the club's history. Like, the irony's fucking dead, but it just... And then for Lawwell, just couldn't wait to go. Meeting adjourned, and I doubt they'll have another one. They'll probably hold it behind closed doors and something like that. Like, there's no way. They don't want to face the fans. But I just thought it was ridiculous, a real embarrassment. And I thought, Martin O'Neill's getting a bit of stick because he came out and says, oh, what would Jock Stein have made of today's... I don't understand this either. It was a stupid comment for anyone. I'm not having a major go at him, obviously a legend, all that stuff, and eternally grateful for him coming back and doing us a wee bit of a turn. But what would Jock Stein have made of that today? I'm going to assume Jock Stein would have went, why the fuck are you making excuses for not being able to compete in Europe, you silly bastard? That's what I think Jock Stein would have said. I can't prove that, but it's really irrelevant. But with Jock Stein, I thought, well, it doesn't matter. It's what do the Celtic fans think? And a lot of them think that the people running the club and the people at the club are assholes, me included. But that was my thinking. Like, I thought, right, Desmond's getting old, maybe he steps down or he passes away, and I thought maybe his boy will come in, he'll revamp it. Then I listened to the cunt today and I thought, Jesus, I hope Dermot Desmond lives to 100. I hope he's the same age as the fucking Queen Mother, because his boy's a bigger arsehole than him. I mean, that was mental the day, just absolute nonsense. How they can even defend the European record is frightening, and there's no accountability, look, and it's a stand. So this is what I think's going to happen. I think in the end, we're all going to lose. I think the GB will get a permanent ban. That's been coming. I've been saying that in this podcast for a long time, that's what they want. They want the GB out. And if I'm a member of the GB, I'd just say to them, no, but give my money back and I'm out of here. That's what I would say, because this isn't nice to say, but Celtic's not a club worth fighting for to that degree. Get your door booted in and stewards harassing you and police and all that, and the club releasing statements about you. Celtic is not worth that anymore. There was a time Celtic might have been worth that kind of fight, but they're not anymore. They're not. That's just the cold hard facts. A lot of fans don't like them as well, so I know it's a livelihood and whatever else, and they love the club, and I feel for them, but if that would be what I would be saying to somebody in the Green Brigade. I'd be saying, no, what lads, just chuck it, because Celtic aren't worth a fuck anymore. And that's the sad truth. It's not worth it. So I think the fans will lose, but I think the board will lose as well, because I think we're going to go into a period of difficulty on the part now. I think other clubs are going to catch us in Scotland. People might disagree with that, but I just think this board are digging their heels in. And Desmond's son told you that. He says this strengthens our resolve. So protest doesn't make them think maybe we should change. It just makes them dig their heels in. I think the fans will dig their heels in as well. And I think the likes of me and my dad, who we give the money every year, ploughed in fucking tens of thousands over the years, and we do so, and we're happy to do so, and just love kind of supporting the club. And people like me and him who got the tickets and went through the dialer years, when people like that start chucking it, I think you're in a dangerous territory. Like this waiting list of, there's all these fans on the waiting list. Well, where were they during the dialer years? They weren't asked because we weren't good. These are people that are on the waiting list to see us hammer Rangers. They're not coming in if we're sitting second or third and Rangers and Hearts are giving us a runaround. These people aren't going to give the money for that. So I think the club's in a really perilous position. I think we're all going to lose, is my kind of overall thoughts. I don't know what you asked me. I think that was quite a long rant, but I just at the moment I just think we're quite a detestable club, and that's horrible to say. A detestable board, I guess, is maybe a better word. Their statements after the AGM were just ridiculous, just panning the support. Can't wait to have a go at their own fans, and to say it was only 40 people for the Green Brigade and the Celtic Trust is not true. I think that's quite incredible. How do they know if it's people for the Green Brigade? Like, how do they know that? So. And obviously you're there, like we're no members of the Green Brigade, we're no members of the Trust. So this idea, whether, as I say, it's Trumpy, and it's just saying, it's just this bunch of people just want to have a go at me, it's nobody else. It's just fucking bullshit. Like, we're normal Celtic fans, season ticket holders, who think they're a shower of cunts. We're nothing to do with the GB or the boys or the Trust or anything like that. So, but they don't want to see that, and they don't want to admit it. So for me, look, I'm no going back. While Desmond and his boy are out today with it, that's how strongly I feel. If the collective were to come out and say we want people to boycott all games, and I think that would be a bold move. It'd be risky, it wouldn't get full support, but I'd be quite happy to go for that. I think this is bigger than the league title and anything like that. At the minute, that's genuinely how I feel about it. People disagree, and that's absolutely fine, but just totally scunnered about it. And then, as I said before, it never needed to be this way, but they poured petrol on it, and I think that shows you, that shows you the hatred they have for the fans. They come out the day and says, these are this, these are that, behave. That was it, behave, shut up and give us your fucking money and fuck off. That's what Peter Lawwell thinks of the Celtic fans. And my thing to him would be, why don't you take the tens of millions you've took out the club, pack your bags and get yourself to fuck, because nobody at the club likes you, none of the fans like you, you're this kind of he's a bogeyman figure, but he fucking plays it well, you know what I mean? That way I'm just going, patronising people and telling them to behave. You should have told that stupid cunt next to you to behave because he's sitting ranting and raving to defend his daft da, and you should have been discussing how to bring this club forward and taking fucking accountability for the mistakes. So I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow.
I'm sure. Andy, what about you? I know you've got a bit more an inside look to the collective. What's the sort of reaction been from yourself and them, and was it sort of what was expected in terms of, I think, from the way I see it, I think they knew there was going to be some sort of action today. They knew they would be able to shave half an hour off the meeting. Lawwell insisted that the meeting would still finish at the original planned time. I think the day was all about getting that meeting finished as quickly as possible and called off as quickly as possible. But what's your sort of thoughts on it? And I know you know a few people from the collective as well. Has the reaction been sort of similar to what's been seen on Twitter and message boards and whatever?
I mean, see when it all comes down to it, a lot of it touches on what Tony says. Like, the collective are just fans. They're me, you, Tony, Danny. Like, it's all just Celtic fans who this is something that they care about. If they want the club to be the best possible club, the best iteration of Celtic that there can be. So the thoughts and the feelings are very much the same as the anger that everybody else has got when they see it. I think something Tony said earlier, and it really rung true. And I think, see, between that AGM itself, which is probably been the most sort of the highest exposure really of any AGM that I can remember in recent memory. There's obviously been a few videos come out for the inside. There's been photographs. I see between that and the meeting that took place with the collective in Celtic and Celtic Park a couple of months back, I think it's really shone a light, and the board have shown themselves for what they are. I think people have known, people have spoke about it. We've banged the drum in here for long enough. People that have had interactions with them through the years have said it, but a lot of people, and listen, I can kind of understand some people to an extent. Some people are just fucking still blind to it, but some people just refusing to believe that the club who did once stand for something, the club who did once have meaning, who was once about the working class, who was about the downtrodden, who was about the people who have been terribly treated, they wouldn't believe that they would think that way about fans and they would act that way about fans. But the board have shown their true colours here, and they're continuing to do it. They're continuing to say, fuck you, fuck what you think, we know best. And as Tony says, shut up and give the rest of your money. That's all they think. They couldn't even wait to wheel out the day and tell us that we'll get some fucking subscription or app service or whatever the fuck it is coming up next, because they want more money. That's it. That is the be all and the fucking end all of it. Money, 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 and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know how many more times fans need to be patronised. It's just, the entire thing is just a clusterfuck, and they're continually pouring petrol on it. They're goading fans. They are trying to goad a reaction. And do you know what? I'm at the point now, fucking give them one. Give them a reaction. Because this should only get worse for them. They should be fucking hounded at this point. Like, I don't even know where to start in the entire thing. Like Michael Nicholson, it's been said a million times, this guy is a fucking mouse. He is supposed to be the head of leadership. He's supposed to be the man. The guy in there who, when Celtic are getting into meetings, when Celtic are getting into transfer dealings, when somebody has to speak at a really high level, it's supposed to be him. And this cunt can't even speak to a room of shareholders. This cunt cannot hold a room. The club can't get shareholders to stay in their stadium and listen to them because they talk that much fucking shite and disregard fans that much. It's crazy. I genuinely cannot believe that guy gets away with it continually. I mean, they're wanting to show a video, Peter Lawwell and Michael Nicholson, or whoever the fuck else was on this stupid video talking, while they're sat in the room, because they've got incapability and the incapacity to turn round and just say it to the fans and the shareholders who are in there. They would rather say it in a wee cushy fucking couch sitting next to Jerry McCulloch asking them wee nice pre-recorded questions. It's fucking nonsense. Even when it comes to the whole question part, Dan, they would have had, there's been no evidence, not a single shred of evidence at any point, as I say, even when the meeting that happened previously in Celtic Park. What makes some people, I've seen people, you didn't even get to ask them questions and scrutinise them. What makes people believe they would have got any fucking answers? It would have been the same reaction. Law would have just said, snap, next question. We've answered that. Like, they would treat it with the exact same disregard, and that's what they've done before. It's a pattern of behaviour with these clowns. They've got no interest, zero interest in actually any accountability. They don't want to be there. The AGM took place because it had to take place. But again, they've just found their way to circumvent it and get around it and get out of it, and that's what they've done, and they were always going to do that. I mean, it's been well documented. They've made it as difficult as possible for people to attend that AGM. They're bringing out all this shite about telling people they need to bring X, Y, Z, fucking your mother's maiden name, fucking date of birth of your first pet, all this shite. They're putting out for people, you need to have all this to turn up. yet when people are going and speaking to Computershare, they're getting told it's bullshit. Why are the club putting this out? Because they don't want people in that room. They don't want to sit in an uncomfortable situation, but people put them in it, and fucking rightfully so. They've made that bed, they should be made to fucking lie in it, and it shouldn't go away, and it won't go away. Because again, these fucking morons continue to pour petrol in this fire, and it just shows you. I can't for the life of me understand it. I think it was Tony that said it earlier on. They had such a tap in with Martin Neal sat there. I mean, he's the only one that walked in the room and got an applause and whatever else. Like they could have hid behind him. They could have played it out. They could have told fucking Dermot Desmond's caddy to shut up. He's not reading out his statement, and hid behind O'Neill and played it smartly and tried to just get through it. But they didn't. They wanted to pick a fight, and that's exactly what they done. And even that as well, like that statement has been written, printed out, ready to go. Like I'm seeing people criticise, but there's booing and there's fucking red cards and all this shit. See if nothing happened today. See if people walked into that room, took their fucking plates, their soup, their teas, their coffees, their biscuits, sat in their arse, never uttered a word, and just stared forward. That statement was getting read out. The minute that video stopped and Law passed out, the wee lapdog Desmond, that statement was getting read out because it was ready to go. And that should tell you every single thing you need to know. There was no outcome today where that didn't get read out. He's getting it all I know, I'm putting a target in my back like some sort of fucking martyr for the board. What the fuck does a billionaire's son know about Celtic? He's never put a fucking dime in. He's never as much as bought a fucking bother out of stall. But he's telling us and trying to read the riot act to people and get after people. And the way he talks about people as well, it's a fucking disgrace. A total disgrace. And even Lawwell, look, if you see it, he's got his wee statement prepared to read out verbatim what he's written down so we can wrap up the meeting. Darren's absolutely spot on. They were going to use every fucking sleek trick in the book about this meeting, whether it's fucking meddling with the people trying to proxy their votes to the Celtic Trust, whether it's making this bullshit about putting people off trying to get in, whether it's calling fucking adjournments and then no extending the meeting. Like, he had that wee statement written out, all prepared, because he knew what he was going to do and he knew how he was going to go about it. So I'm glad that while people had the opportunity, they fucking stuck it to them and made it uncomfortable, and you seen that wee fucking lapdog Desmond sitting shaking like a shitting dog. Absolutely no less than he deserves, and it should only get ramped up and worse for these people until they're gone. And then you see some of the shite they're coming away with after it, talking about, there's 40 troublemakers. I think everybody knows there was more than 40 people in there who thought every single word out their mouth was a lot of shite. And it's been already said, but having digs at people about turning up to AGMs as if Dermot Desmond, when's the fucking last time he ever turned up to an AGM? It's nonsense that they think they can just get away with this stuff and throw it out and not expect a reaction out of people. Like, people who have ploughed in tens of thousands of pounds, people who aren't paid to be there. I seen a guy in one of the interviews that have come out since and been put online, drove up like 7 hours for fucking Leicester or wherever he drove for. Like, these people aren't paid to be in that room. They're not paid to be answerable to these people. They're not paid to operate the club. They put money in. They put their hard-earned money in. They take time out of, after they're working, their family lives, everything else, to try and put money in, to try and put effort in. Even people in whether it's the trust or the collective, fucking Green Brigade boys, like whatever it might be, whether it's putting time and effort into making banners or putting time and effort into making displays, and that the club will fucking quite happily wheel out and selling the club short for fucking stupid money in a picture frame. But whatever it might be, people are putting time and effort in this because they care about the club. The same cannot be said for the fucking people sitting at the head of that boardroom table. They wouldn't be there unless they're paid to be there. They do not care about the club. They wouldn't be in that stadium otherwise, and it's a fucking myth to believe otherwise. I don't know. Nobody should be lapping that shite up. I think they're just determined to get their narrative out. To be honest, I think they should be asking for a fucking refund after that PR firm that they've got going for them, because they are a fucking raging bin fire as well. I don't really know where else to go in terms of Dan. Tony covered quite a lot, and I'm hesitant to cover the exact same ground, which I've probably done already anyway. But like, it's just bonkers. It's totally bonkers stuff. And as I said earlier, I think the biggest thing for me now is they've shown themselves up again. They've played their hand, and they've played it terribly. Between them agreeing to the meeting minutes, which I still can't believe they agreed to some of the stuff in there, and then that again the day, I think people are really starting to see a clear picture, and the board can't hide it anymore. See, particularly when they're pushed. See when you make them, like when you make them angry and they act irrationally, and you see it, and you see Peter Lawwell acting like that. We substitute school teacher, shut up, and behave, and all this nonsense. And you see Ross Desmond absolutely shaking, determined to get his wee statement out that Daddy's wrote him. Like, you see it, and you see that irrational thinking, and it all goes out the window because they're so angry about it, and they're thinking, why are these people even allowed to question me? And that's what ultimately that's what it comes down to. We're ordinary people here. Dermot Desmond thinks he's above lawyers. He thinks, why the fuck should I need to answer to these peasants? And I think that's been shown. Shawnee shines even brighter now when you've got him talking about, people they're anti-establishment and all this fucking nonsense. So they should be. That is the club was born out of that, and these people have not got a fucking single clue. And I'm borderline with Tony, and I've said it to you before. Like, I felt so detached to the club. I don't really have much appetite to go to a lot of games just now because I don't see the same club that I grew up supporting. That's been supported my family for long enough. The same for you and a lot of people listening. I don't see that. And I see these people at the top just taking out fucking fortunes, constantly demanding more money off me. Every fucking second week I've got another email asking for more money. Every other fucking 2 days I've got something else about, this is now out in the superstore, get it now for £150. It's constant. And it's just a complete, it's just so far away from what it once was. And I think, unfortunately, we've sort of became a victim of our own success in a lot of ways because there's no other way. Like, people used to laugh and call them Brendan blow-ins and all the rest of it for when the times were good and we were winning lots of trophies. And listen, that happens. You see it across the world. And I think you've seen so many people come in and they want to get the big one about how big a fans they were. But Tony's fucking bang on. There's on his island there was banners covering the top of the top tiers for the seats for European games because the tickets weren't selling, so everybody had to go in the lower tier. Season tickets you could easily go on, even with the European games this season, where obviously they're not selling out either, and you're able to get tickets right up whenever you want. Going to all season ticket holders. I mean, I seen a Celtic Rangers semi-final at Hampden go to the third or fourth ballot. Like, I think that tells you everything you need to know about the appetite of a lot of people and the people who've been there for a long, long time. But I would love to say I was surprised with the total disrespect and disdain that the board members and everybody else treated fans with the day. But I'm no one bit as somebody who's sat in the room with them previously, and I would say looked them in the eye, but they've not actually got the bottle to look empty in the eye. They're all absolute shite bags. But it doesn't surprise me, and they've goaded fans into a fight, and I think that's exactly what they should get. They should be hounded out of this club. They should not be allowed to continue in their roles. They've got no respect for fans, so they've got an absolute cheek to be asking for respect off of fans back.
I agree with that. And Danny, what about you? What's your sort of thoughts on it? I think it's quite important to stress today that they weren't. It's not as if they were threatened. There was no sort of violence that initiated or any sort of real disruption. It was just a case of shareholders challenging these people, and this is how they reacted. What was your sort of thoughts to it?
Well, I don't want to go on another 15 minutes like the other two and just repeat what they said, even though I agree with just about everything the two of them said. But I didn't think for a minute. I seen a few videos and stuff. I didn't think for a minute anything was over the top. Obviously, these formal meetings, you're wanting the best of order and stuff. And Lawwell as the chairs kind of got a right to say, right, let's hear folk, blah, blah, blah. But they were very quick to move to the 30-minute adjournment. And then they were even quicker to call it off at the end. I don't think it was only Desmond's statement that was predetermined. I think the whole thing was a bit of a pantomime. And I think the board will be probably laughing at themselves the night that they've managed to pull it off. It's just to cancel a meeting because of that is just a joke, and the media should be out on top of them, but they'll not be because it's in the media's interest to go after the Green Brigade as if, they'll just paint it as the Green Brigade and go after them instead of actually standing back and question, why have you an annual general meeting and you've called it off because a few folk didn't like what they were hearing and they had every right not to like what they were hearing. It's just bizarre. I've never known, because let's be honest, fans are customers, right? You're the paying customer that keeps the business afloat. I've never known a business who treats their customers with the utter disdain and contempt that Celtic treat their own fans with. It's like who thought, I work in comms, right? And who thought that was a good idea to let Ross Desmond spout that out? And it just goes to show you who is calling the shots at Celtic. You've got a CEO who, Celtic have been in crisis since Rodgers left, right? You could maybe argue it was before then, but when the manager decides enough's enough and you get plunged into all this uncertainty, right? The club is in crisis, and we have no heard from the CEO the entire time, barring a pre-recorded softball interview with Jerry McCulloch, who works for Celtic and whose job is to make Celtic look good. And nae harm to you, Jerry, but it's a tough cast you're working with. And this is the CEO of a multi-million pound business, probably it's dollars and all the way they go on, but, you know, Celtic are hundreds of millions of pounds turnover every year. You know, it's a multi-million pound business, and the CEO has not been heard from during what any reasonable person could conclude is a crisis point in the club, and the CEO, nobody's heard from. And you've got a man who claims to be, what was it he called himself, the executive, what was it he called himself? Senior shareholder or something when the Rodgers statement. It wasn't like the owner or anything like that. But he can just send his boy, who, as far as I'm aware, is only a proxy for his dad, like half the crowd that were there today. And he can read out, he's at the top table and he can read out a statement where he says things like he's attacking his own, for want of a better word, customers, and saying their only vocation in life is to be anti-establishment. That's just mental. Like, who? And yet, he seemed, he's gone about him shaking, but he was so determined that he was going to say it. And to come out and, like, Tony was right, to come out and say, well, Europe's fucking too far gone now. But your prices have went up every year. Your match package for the Champions League and for the Europa League has went up every year. You're wanting more and more out the fans, and you're hoping we expect less and less coming out for you. And the club have had a very good manager at the club who's decided enough's enough, fuck this, I'm away. It's been 3-4 weeks, we've still not got a manager, and you've got a 73-year-old guy who, his comments today were a disgrace. It's the first time he's ever misstepped when talking about the Celtic support, but that's taken, the job in the 3-4 weeks he's been here is taking its toll on him. He looks like he would rather be somewhere else. There's no sign of a new manager. And any potential manager who's coming in is probably going to be looking, going, what the fuck am I walking into? Anybody worth their salt will be like, actually, going to just hold out, because I could maybe get the same money at a championship team or bottom half of the Premiership, or if I'm coming from abroad, just stay in my own country, because I'll probably get the same amount of money somewhere else. Celtic have got no ambition. The club lacks ambition from top to bottom. The board have got no ambition. If they see it, if we and Rangers are going toe to toe every year, and you've got Hearts added in this year, they see that as competition's healthy for them. And if these two teams are knocking lumps at each other, and we finish just a point ahead, or, you know, maybe, we did win the last 9, so let's just finish a point behind this year. They're happy with that. And as long as the fans turn up and pay their money, there's never going to be any real change. But, fuck's sake, what a state to get the club into, and to have such disdain for your own fans, your own customer base, is just mental. I've never, how that they've absolutely fucking fell into the financial position that they're into, to have millions of pounds in the bank with that level of fucking disdain for your own people is just beggars belief. And see, when they come out and say, oh, we've made these shortcomings, well, Ross, your dad came out a couple of weeks ago and said it took the manager 3 hours and he couldn't come up with a shortcoming. So if you're recognising your shortcomings, maybe tell your dad first, so we can get a clearer picture. They contradict themselves at every turn. Like Andy said, Lawwell coming out and going, oh, these aren't the usual people that turn up to an AGM. Just utter fucking contempt for your own people. And yet, the guy who sends his boy, who's never at a fucking AGM, there's no self-awareness, they've no clue where they are in the room. It's just blind leading the blind, and the club's going for one fucking embarrassment to another. Apparently, this Nancy guy's ready to come in as the manager, and then there's talk of, well, do you know what, we've got St Mirren away, Hibs away, Feyenoord away. Is it all maybe better just to bring him in when we've got a home game? Where Celtic managers should be able to go to St Mirren, should be able to go to Easter Road. If you've no faith in him to go to these places, and what's the fucking point in being the manager? And then his club came out and say, well, we don't know what's going on because we've no fucking heard anything, we've not done an approach. So to me, they're miles away from a new manager. On the park, it's a shit show. You're crawling by a Rangers team who had 10 men for an hour. They fucking took you extra time. You're coming out, you know, you get Horst against a Michelin team who, you know, really should have took 9 off us. And then, you get by, was it Kilmarnock? You get by and you're coming up with a tough week ahead. Fuck knows what the preparations are like, because the club are just in a mess from top to bottom, and that show the day. Again, this Everton's got to be done before 12:30, and we're taking a half an hour break, but we're still finishing at 12:30, so we're going to play these videos. And, the boys are right. The board got what they wanted, because they were never ever going through with that. I mean, it was prepared for top to bottom. I mean, there were a couple of folks shouting. I think Ross Desmond was going on about Europe, and somebody shouted, "What about Bodo Glimp?" People were shouting, and then when he started talking about the fans and getting tore into the fans, a couple of folk were going, nay, daft things you shout when you're at meetings, and going, come on to fucking... You heard some folks say, right, that's enough, that's a disgrace. But it wasn't as if MD stood up. I know Jeanette Finlay went up to raise a motion to move the videos, which is a fair point, and, why no? The club... This is one of the most anticipated AGMs the club have had in years. The videos could have been played fucking at any point. Why do they need to be played here? Get the questions asked. You've got the women's team manager who's sitting nae heard me, but what's the fucking point in her being it? Nobody there is going to be interested in the women's team, no, with the current climate of the club. And you've got her sitting there without a full-time manager of the men's team, and it just looked so bad. The look was just terrible. And then a mild fucking discontent, and Lawwell calls an end to the meeting. It's just pathetic, and it's really disappointing. And again, I just can't get away from the fact that these people have got about 100 million in the bank or whatever, and they've got such a fucking contempt for their own people. And you hear it is all rosy in the garden. You actually, things don't look great, but we're in the background. We've got this lovely pitch that can handle the winter, and we're bringing out a new app, and we've got a membership scheme where you can give us merrier money. They don't. It's as if they sit for 9 to 5, well, apart from Michael, obviously, because he works 24/7, and they just shout ideas at each other, and they don't ask MD from outside the room to come in and think, what do you make of this, what do you make of that? It's as if the oxygen's been cut out the room, and they're all fucking, desperate to get home, and they need to get an idea through, so they just go with something. And then they don't listen. They don't have any awareness that, actually, 95% of fans will probably not go for that. Fuck them. We'll get 5% that will do. And, just getting on in circles here, Dan, it's a joke. And what happened today was a disgrace in the club. There's people in the club, as Tony said, they're taking millions home every year. They're taking, it's the fans that put that money in. And a lot of folks should be embarrassed and ashamed of themselves tonight to let the club appear in such a fucking state, and it's all of their doing. See if they'd have backed the manager appropriately, backed the manager properly, put a structure in place that the manager can have people in recruitment, have people above him towards the board, and have a proper fucking structure in place where he can get his players in, he can get his coaches in, whatever. He's still sitting with an old coaching staff for 4 or 5 managers ago, probably last time he was there, and he's decided to chuck it. And now, was that Tisdale even there today? He's meant to be out finding his new manager. He's meant to be so important in the club. Was he there? It's just... It's all the club's doing. They failed to back the last manager, and now look what we're at. And yet they're screaming into a void, telling everybody that sees pesky Green Brigade's fault. And I think the tea's out for the Green Brigade, if I'm honest. I think the club are going for them in a big way now. And yet you'll have 2 or 3 people who think it's a good idea, and it'll be the 2 or 3 people you see on fucking news websites, on the telly, telling everybody what a great thing it is. The club will fucking champion them at every turn and say they're doing it for the wider support. It's just a fucking joke. And again, it's leaving you feeling so disconnected with the club. There's I've talked about it earlier, you don't look forward to the next game. You don't look forward to... We've got a cup final in a couple of weeks, and I don't think anybody can be asked. And you're walking into accidents, accidents waiting to happen. If the club aren't united, the players feel it. No, I can guarantee 100% the players are feeling it. So, and again, I think both sides are going to pretty much dig in now. It's the board's fault. They're blaming... Well, they were blaming Rodgers, now they seem to be blaming the support again. And fuck knows where we go from here. But the language used by the chairman and the shareholders boy today suggests to me that they're going fucking nowhere, but also that it's pretty much civil war now. I know that sounds quite dramatic, but they're going nowhere, and neither should the fans. But I think the fans have got to go away to collect themselves and come out with something proper, because this boycott of merchandise isn't really going to cut it anymore. They've shown their contempt for not just the people that were in that room, they've shown their contempt for everybody there. So I think it's time for us to start proper serious action when it comes to a club, like maybe a complete boycott. And that'll break a lot of folks' hearts. I know 3 of you go you've got season tickets, you go to all the home games. That'll break folks' hearts. But what's going on now can't keep going on. And if it keeps going on, they win. And we're in a fucking uniquely terrible situation that if the board are to win, the team will probably lose, which isn't even worth thinking about. But it's a very much real live possibility now.
I agree. I'll just sort of cover a few bullet points that I've got here. I know use the boss spoke at length, and I agree with what you have said. I'm not going to write War and Peace here, but 3 main things that have come up for me. I think what Tony mentioned right at the start about Lawwell, he's been a sort of bone of contention the last year and a half, 2 years. People say, no, is he the boogeyman or is he actually involved? Every bit of fucking sympathy that anybody had for him should be out the window now. Every bit of abuse he's got is completely justified. He showed today his contempt for the supporters. And see, the thing is today, it's supporters who were there today in the sort of role as a shareholder. Even if the proxies like myself and others were there as a proxy for somebody, you can't just fucking dispel that as, oh, you're a daft Ned from the Green Brigade. Yeah, we don't care that you're here at the AGM for the first time. That is somebody who has put money into Celtic to buy shares and is choosing, saying, I'm happy for that person to go and represent me. So he needs to fucking watch himself with the way he's talking. As he says, his recent comment about, oh, don't usually see these people at the AGM. Well, we don't usually see fucking Dermot there either, but I don't see you fucking getting your head out his arse to pull him up for that either. But I think he's a fucking arsehole, and I hope that he continues to fucking get the level of criticism that he deserves. Next, as I said at the start, I think the whole thing's orchestrated. I think they're determined to get rid of the Green Brigade and probably boys after that. I think they'll just want rid of the ultra section. I think the next stage will probably be closing the full standing section and asking people in that section to sort of choose between the Green Brigade or being in the standing section. I think there's been too much happened this week with police knocking people's doors down at 6 a.m. for breach of the peace charges, and notably it wasn't assault charges. And look, I can only report on what I've seen from sources online and whatever, but it appears that even some of the people who got their doors done, the only sort of link that address had to them was their Celtic season ticket. So it leads people like me to wonder, how are they getting that address? How is Police Scotland getting that address, and why are they going to that address? If the person doesn't stay there, where could they possibly get that information from? That's what I would wonder. I think actually Scott from Homeboys had a couple of the Green Brigade or North Curve boys on who were able to give details of what these people went through during the week in terms of having their doors booted in at 6 a.m. I'd strongly encourage people to go and listen to that. Like, I know most people that listen to this are probably more aligned with your views, where we've always backed the Green Brigade. We're, like Tony says, we're 100% behind them. Got a lot more in common with them than I do the billionaires and millionaires on the board and the fucking arseholes who bat for them in our support. Like, I wish them all the best. As Tony said, it must be hard. Like, I find it tough enough to rally to go to games now, never mind the fact that if people are having their doors booted in, I think it's a disgrace, and I think the whole support should be unifying behind them. I know a collective who gave them support. I can get it myself. It's fucking draining, and it must be have such an impact. This isn't just daffy boys. This is people with families. This is people whose parents are being affected by this, or your neighbours are seeing it. I think Desmond or whoever on the board, I think they're just determined to get rid of them. And then it was notable that one of the first reports after the AGM today was from the Daily Record, who says that a Record insider told them that it was Green Brigade people who were disrupting that meeting. I wonder where they got that information as well. That would be something I would be very much interested to know as well. As I say, I think it's a concerted effort to get rid of the Green Brigade, and if it wasn't for how inflammatory and inciting a spark under people like me, we've been quite honest on this podcast, we were fucking pissed off and almost at a loss. Why do we keep doing this? Why will we renew in May? But that brings me on to my third point. This fucking bastard Ross Desmond, who the hell does he think he is today? He has no right to be on that stage reading statements out before the mute Michael Nicholson. He's up there inciting him. This Ross Desmond fucking idiot is up there lecturing people in that crowd who have been putting money into Celtic for over 50 years, and you've got that arsehole up there calling the supporters bullies, talking about incidents that he's got no idea what happened. And talking about European football and how we know nothing and leave it to the millionaires and billionaires because you fucking plebs know absolutely nothing. That lit a fire under me. I could not believe what I was hearing. I'm very glad that somebody recorded it because, as Tony said, it might have been unbelievable if you were told what he says after it. We've actually seen it to believe it. He's about the only person that actually can get behind the Collective's Not Another Penny campaign because he's fucking never put a penny in to begin with. He's born with a fucking golden spoon up his arse, and as Tony said, he somehow might be worse than Dermot Desmond because you could see how fucking he's either a big shite bag who was visibly shaking or he was that angry that the plebs are rising up. Well, I've got fucking news for you, Ross. We'll continue to rise up and we will continue to demand change, and that's not going to change whether it's your dad in charge or you in charge, because we owe it to Celtic to fucking continue to fight for what the club represents, who it represents. Like, this arsehole never had to worry about where he's getting his 600, 700 quid for his season ticket in May. He's never had to worry about having enough money in the bank for his direct debit to come out for a home cup ticket scheme. He's never worried about having to go around the Celtic shop or anywhere at Christmas time to get presents for your nearest and dearest. He doesn't know what we go through, and most of the board don't, to be fair. I think the comparison between them and the matchday fan it's fucking night and day. Like, they worry about if they're getting a 5-figure salary in at the end of each month. They're not caring a fuck whether we draw them or it's at Mirren and then lose at final and draw at Easter Road. It doesn't affect them. And as I say, a lot's been covered. I was scunnered. That was my first time at an AGM the day. I was scunnered at how they spoke to the support and the shareholders, and I think it was a line in the sand. I think it is. Danny says a declaration of war might be too far. I don't think it's far off. I think it was a line in the sand where you're either sticking with the millionaires and billionaires and batting for them, or you're rallying behind match going fans who go home and away every week, put every penny they've got in a Celtic who are currently being targeted by Celtic, it feels. I'd love to know what everybody else that's listening thinks, because I think the reaction's been pretty unanimous. I've seen that it was such a disruptive, and as I say, I keep saying inflammatory, but that's the only way I can describe it. It was like fucking pouring petrol into a volcano. It was unbelievable that they thought this was going to be the way. I don't even think, like one of you says it, if everybody had went in wearing Martin O'Neill masks and just cheering and clapping, deadly silent for him, they would have still read out the same speech and still accused the support of the same stuff. So I don't think you can put it solely down to protesters and those that were voicing dissent as being the reason that this got called off today. But I know we're hitting the hour mark now, so I will not take up too much merry a weekend. I think we'll call it there. Feels a bit stupid doing this, but we'll quickly go around the houses looking for predictions for St Mirren game tomorrow, just to lighten the mood a bit. The way it's going, I'll go first. I think it'll be one each. I think the way this has gone, and fucking Martin, who couldn't do it and rang until he spoke after that AGM today, is still in charge. St Mirren's a tough game, obviously playing in the cup final. I'm going to go for one each. And I can't even be asking a goal scorer. I just feel that the way we're going, we've got 3 tough away games in a row now, and I can't see the mood around the club being lifted by them. Tony, what about you?
I think we'll get beat 3-2. I think the goals for St Mirren, I think Brendan Rodgers will score the first for them. I think the Green Brigade will score the second, and the Trust will score the third for St Mirren, and then a Ross Desmond double to try and get Celtic back in it. But I think we'll get beat. So yeah, probably won't watch it. Just so fucked off. Don't care. I think the wheels are going to come off. Fuck the board.
Andy, what about you?
I'd be surprised if we win as well. I'm going to go for one each.
Danny, you go around us off with a positive prediction. There's 2 draws and a defeat predicted.
Do you know what? St Mirren are shite. Beat them 2-0 and all will be right in the world for a couple of days.
Oh, there you go, at least one prediction of a Celtic win tomorrow. We'll be back after that. Who knows if we'll be talking about off the field stuff, on the field stuff, the banning of supporters, the appointment of a new manager, who fucking knows. But we've not gave up just yet, so we will be back at some point next week to discuss some, we don't know what, but we hope you join us. Make sure you're following us on social media. Just search for 4 Times in a Podcast. You could find us, and I will speak to you next week. Fuck the board. Hail, hail.